The limes came in late this year, but you can tell they did come in. And I've had problems with this tree in the past breaking limbs because the weight of the limes. This lower one here, I have thought about just cutting it off because it seemed like it was just not going to make it for its length and the weight at the end here. But it does produce a lot of limes out here, so I'm going to come up with a way to save this limb and keep it going. It's in the shade, but I think you can see what's going on here. I already cut this stick to the length that I want. It's just a piece of, I don't know, 3/4 by 1, just junk. I don't have a lot of wood just laying around, but I had this outside for just like this, like propping up a tree or whatever. And you'll notice that I cut it so that it's longer here. I'm going to raise this limb up and you're going to see in a second what I did. So what I did to cut it was I just got under here, raised it up, and then marked it with a pencil. This finish nail here is going to be a pin to hold a block of wood, and this is probably like a number 6 finish nail, so it goes down in here quite a ways. And so it's about half sticking up and then half embedded into this little piece of wood. So I had another just piece of scrap, and I used this scrap, you see this color here, for holding things up when I'm painting them. So this is just a little chunk of wood, so I wanted to paint something, I'd sit it on top here so it wouldn't be laying flat on a surface like this. I think I was making a door stop for somebody, and you know, I set the bottom of it here and then I sprayed it this color, which I happen to have some of. And the wires on the back here are going to be looped around the tree branch to keep the tree branch from sliding off this support stick that I'm making. Now the hole on the bottom, you'll notice that's pretty big. It's a lot bigger than the diameter of the nail, and that's because when I lift up this branch, see how it looks kind of level here? It's not going to be like that when I lift it up. It's going to be tilted up, and this is going to give, this hole here is going to give this block of wood some flexibility, and when it all settles down, it'll be stable. Now I put this wire on here because I don't want to go back there and staple it on, so I'm stapling it on this way, and then I'm going to install it down like this, so these wires are already being placed when I set the stake. So obviously, to stick this in here correctly, I had to bend these wires down so they're not in the way. And then, if you can see it, gosh, it's kind of hard to see through my video view screen here, but the vertical part of the stake has to be pretty much right under the middle of this branch. It's going to flop and roll a little bit, but you can see how the block has now settled to its angle. And I'm just going to take these wires and bring them over here. I might twist it around here, and I'll come back and show you how that's finished. But this is going to settle on its own, and I'm going to use this little guy here. Now if you don't have one of these, that's okay. You can bend these over and maybe make them real tight and then just staple down into your tree. It won't kill it. I think that copper might or something, but in this case I'm just going to wrap it around here or use this guy a little bit to help me out. So I did end up painting this, and I guess I just wanted the tree to have a little dignity here, and didn't want to bring a lot of attention to the fact that it needs a little help. So just dropping the wires around the branch here, as I told you. This is gardening wire, which is just that vinyl covered wire. I don't think that it's going to cause any harm to that little tiny branch there, but there's also still a little gap here, so a lot of that action is being carried by the finish nail. Now that doesn't bother me because out here at the end of the branch, those lines are going to get bigger. I'm not even close to picking them yet, so that additional weight might help settle everything down, and I think everything is held in place here. It's got a good stability and balance, and anyway, you can probably make this better. You get the idea that when you're setting the stake like this, let there be a little wiggle room here, because that, you know, that branch is not going to be flat. So let her kind of tilt a little bit, and this kind of keeps you from trying to having to, you know, put something on an angle and everything is going to change. The pivot point by this finish nail is going to be more than adequate. And I mean, I didn't buy anything for this. I already had all this stuff, so there's really no out of pocket for this kind of thing. If it breaks or the wind blows and snaps it or something, it doesn't matter. I can always fix this for next to nothing. So maybe you can find a better way. And if you're having tree limbs like this, I think the higher up you go, so I mean, you know, what is this, 3 feet off the ground, but if you're dealing with a limb that's a lot higher, then up all the dimensions. You may get away with a piece of stock like this size. This is probably a 3 by 2, something like that. Yeah, but you're going to probably want to get a bigger vertical stake like this, something a little stronger than this little thing. I'm guessing in a year or so I'll probably have to upgrade all that myself too. So anyway, like I said, maybe you can figure out a better way or whatever, share it with the group, and all the best.